snakes.
Am I going to get started?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So some of you were here. Raise your hand if you were here last time I was here. Some of you, yeah. Well, those of you that don't know me, my name is Carson. I am from the Grout Museum in Waterloo. Today I have brought 5 of my friends with me to help me do this show. We're going to start. This is Rosie. Hi, Rosie. Yes, exactly. Rosie. Voices off, everybody. Rosie is a coastal Rosie boa constrictor. Does anyone know what constrictor means when it comes to snakes? Yeah.
It means they make their prey unable to breathe, and that's how they hunt them.
Yes. So constrictors don't have poison. That means they squeeze their prey. So when they catch something that they want to eat, they wrap part of their tails around it and they squeeze. So they're all muscle. Now, that is not to say that she's really squeezing me. You'll notice how tiny she is compared to me. I'm totally fine. Basically what that means is none of the snakes that I have to show you guys today are venomous. Yeah. If I were to bring a venomous snake, that'd probably be a bad idea for me to be holding.
Yeah.
So she is a coastal Rosie boa. Take a look at her coloring. Right. Can anybody guess what kind of environment she lives in? Rocks, actually, yeah, rocks. She lives in rocks and sand. She lives on the coast near like California and Mexico. So she lives in kind of rocky desert environments. She is a burrowing snake. That means she likes to live under the dirt and the sand. If you look at her shape, you can kind of see that she's naturally evolved to do that. Her head just kind of flows right into the rest of her body, so she's almost perfectly tube-shaped. And her scales are very, very flat and smooth. It makes it really easy for her to move around inside the dirt. The fact that she lives under the ground, can anybody guess what that kind of tells you about her? She likes to live under the ground. What does that probably mean?
No, she doesn't really like to. She doesn't like to go on land.
She doesn't really like to go on land. Yeah, but why might she not like to go on land?
She might be light sensitive.
She is light sensitive, but there's another big reason that involves other animals.
That she may be eaten.
Yeah, she might get eaten. She is a big prey animal, which means even though she's a snake, even though she's predatory, there are a lot of things that would want to eat Rosie in the wild, particularly like birds, like hawks and eagles would want to eat something like her. So she has evolved to live under the ground a lot of the time to keep herself safe. That also means that she is an ambush predator. That means that she does not chase after her prey, she waits for prey to come to her. She'll sit under the ground until a mouse or something else small goes overhead, and then she'll pop out and grab it and pull it underground. So, sounds pretty menacing, but basically what that means is she sits around a lot. Now, any guesses what she might eat?
Like a mouse.
Yeah, like mice. So, all snakes are predators. That means they're carnivores. They don't eat any plants or fruit. They only eat meat. She can eat a full-grown mouse, even with as tiny as she is. Now, how do you think something with a head this small can eat a full-grown mouse that's like this big around?
Like she has her mouth can open up really wide.
Her mouth can open up really wide. Yes. Does anyone know why that is?
They can unhinge their jaw.
Yes, you're right. Now, we do frequently say they unhinge their jaw. That's actually not exactly true. Their jaws aren't even attached to their skulls the way that ours are. So like, open your mouth as wide as you can. That's about as much as we can go, right? Any more than that, it would hurt. Our jaws are attached to our skulls with bone. A snake's jaw is attached to its skull mostly with muscle. That means that it can stretch really, really wide. So they don't have to worry about hurting themselves. So they don't really dislocate their jaws. Their jaws aren't really attached in the first place. And if you notice underneath their head, and you'll see this more on some of the bigger snakes, all snakes have a little tiny line under their mouth right here. That's kind of the spot where their mouths can open up like this. So something this tiny can eat a mouse this big around. As a rule of thumb, a snake can eat anything that is as big around as they are. So she is about that thick in the middle. She can eat a mouse about that big. Any questions about Rosie?
Is that true?
Yes. Any other questions about Rosie? Yes, you can pet her. Any other questions about Rosie?
Does she drink water?
She does not drink water. They eat meat, they drink water.
She's going to use
You can't hold her, no.
How old is she?
She's actually one of our oldest, oh, there she goes. She's about 12 years old. So she can live to be about 15 to 18, so she's getting a little bit older. Yeah. So she could lay eggs if she wanted to. Now, okay. Fact about snakes. It's usually pretty hard to tell if snakes are male or female because they all just kind of look like this. But with Rosie, we can tell that she's female because look at the end of her tail here. You see how it's really fat?
Yeah.
That's where she would store her eggs if she was going to lay eggs. So because we can see that spot on the end of her tail, we know that she's female. A lot of snakes don't really have that. She does. Yes?
Does she bite?
She would bite if she was really scared or if she thought I was food, but she has never bitten anybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Why did she climb your shirt for?
It's warm. So snakes are cold-blooded. What does that mean?
That means
They're reptiles, yes, but what does cold-blooded mean for reptiles? Yeah. They're cold, they are. They need a hot habitat. The reason for that is that they cannot regulate their body temperature. So we are always about 98 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Approximately. Snakes are not. They are whatever the ambient temperature of the room is. So they need to go somewhere warm in order to keep their metabolism up. Your metabolism is like what keeps your body going. If they get too cold, their metabolism slows down too much and they can get sick. So it's warm inside my shirt because I'm warm. It's also warm on my hand and my arm, which is why she's crawling around me a lot. So she's kind of using me as a big warm jungle gym. Yes?
Did you find her? And if so, where did you find her?
Most of our snakes are donated to us, so she was given to us. All right, these are all great questions, but I've got 4 of the snakes to get through. So if you want to pet Rosie, there are a couple of rules. Only use one finger and pet down in the direction of her tail. If you pet up, it goes against the grain of her scales and it's uncomfortable for her, okay? So down in the direction of her tail. If you don't want to pet her, it's okay. Don't yell or draw away. Just say, no thank you, and it's okay, okay?
Can I hold her?
No, you cannot hold her, I'm sorry. You notice she's kind of cold and she's smooth and she's dry.
She's so cute.
Come sit, guys. Come sit.
Everybody gets one.
On this side. Okay. Come, Jenna, come sit.
Let's do Rosie Bone. Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Come around. Other way. Perfect. You do not have to. All right, we are moving on. Everybody say goodbye to Rosie. She says goodbye. All right. For the sake of time, we are not going to pet the other snakes until the end. Also, not all of them like to be pet as much as Rosie does.
What's in that black one? Right, get that one. That one might be good. Water.
All right. Next up. It is not a king cobra. I would be a little bit nervous if it was a king cobra.
I would not be here if it was a king cobra. I like the king cobra, please. The king cobra, you're not. Yeah, the king cobra. Oh my god. Oh,
This is Jekyll. Jekyll is a corn snake.
he eats corn.
Why do you think they're called corn snakes?
Raise your hand.
They kind of looks like corn.
Kind of looks like corn. That is one reason. Yeah, they kind of look like wild corn. Yeah. They do not eat corn. They are predators.
They live in.
Yes, they like to live in cornfields. So remember, they like to hunt small animals, so things like mice and little tiny varmints, you know. So they like to live where they would find little animals, and a lot of times that's in cornfields. Corn snakes can be found in Iowa. Now, a lot of times they're smaller than this when we find them here, but they can be found in this state. Yes.
Is he a
Yes, actually he is. So corn snakes come in all sorts of different colors. A lot of times in the wild, they're either brown or red because they kind of evolved to fit into their environment. Jekyll is albino. Does anyone know what that means? I know you know. I didn't know yet. You know what albinos?
Does that snake eat rats?
Mice, not rats. Does anyone know what albino means?
They don't have as much pigment in their skin and eyes.
They don't have as much pigment in their skin and eyes. So what color does that make their eyes?
Red.
Red. Yes. They have red eyes. Albino is a really popular morph of snakes. Different colors of snakes are called morphs. M-O-R-P-H. So if you're looking for a pet snake, they might ask you, like, if you're looking for a particular morph, that means color or pattern of skin. So yes, Jekyll is white and albino. We have another corn snake named Hyde. Hyde is red, and Hyde is mean, so I don't bring him around places. Now, he can't be that mean because here's a fun fact. Corn snakes do not have teeth.
What?
They are one of the only types of snake that do not have teeth at all. He is a constrictor, so he chokes his prey just like the other constrictors do and then swallows it whole. But he doesn't have teeth to help him swallow. So they have really, really strong muscles in their throats to help them swallow food.
So I guess you named Jekyll and Hyde after their personalities.
Oh yeah, after their personalities. Now Hyde isn't that bad, but he wouldn't be just like sitting here like this. He'd be a bit more striking. But they don't have teeth, so really they can't do that much harm. Any questions about Jekyll? Yes. I'm not gonna bring. If I bring every single snake around, we're gonna be here way too long. I have one more snake you'll get to pet, and I promise it's gonna be cool. Yes.
I'm gonna take a guess at but
It's actually kind of impossible to tell. We just named them Jekyll and Hyde because of their personalities. Maybe. Yeah. How fast are they? Good question. Corn snakes are very fast, much faster than the coastal rosy boa is. The reason is that they chase their prey. So they have to be fast enough to keep up with a mouse. Now you might wonder how a snake can move very fast even without legs. They slither, like you've seen in movies. They move in an S shape. Their muscles are strong enough to push them across the ground. They also have these underscales. Do you see on their belly? These kind of hard, flat scales. Those help them grip the ground as they move. So they can move pretty quick, faster than you would think. Even just kind of watch how quickly he's moving around my arm. Is there anything you can guess about him just from looking at what he's doing right now? What do you think he's good at? escaping and climbing. Yes, he's very good at climbing. They like to live in trees. In fact, on at least 2 occasions, I have seen a corn snake fall out of a tree. So they really, really like trees. They were fine, don't worry. They crawled away. But yeah, so he's very, very good at climbing. He's very good at adjusting to his environment. Remember, if they're living in a cornfield, it'd be pretty good to be able to climb up in a corn stalk and look down at their prey beneath them. So he's pretty good at that. Yeah.
Does he live underground?
He does not live underground. No. Yes.
How big
How long are they? How big are his eggs? Their eggs would be about this big.
What?
About like that. They'd be very, very tiny. When they're babies, they're only about that long.
What?
Yes.
How old can
Corn snakes? Corn snakes can live to be about 20 years old. We don't actually know how old Jekyll is, but probably around 5 to 10 years old. Full grown. Any other questions? From new hands also. Anybody have any burning questions? Yes.
How long is it?
Jekyll is about 2 feet long.
What?
Yes.
Have you ever let anyone hold your snakes?
We don't let people hold them for 2 reasons. One is that if for some reason they decide to be mean and bite me, I'd rather it be me and not you. The other reason is just for their own safety. We've practiced holding the snakes. They're used to us. So that's why we hold them.
Yeah, speak up.
Would it try to like choke me if it got mad or like constrict me? No. That's also a good question. So we asked, would the snake try to constrict me or choke me if he got mad at me? The answer is actually no. Snakes are very, very good at telling what is prey and what is not. Jekyll knows that I'm too big to eat. So if he got mad at me, he might bite me or try to run away from me, but he's not going to try to constrict me because he can't eat. So it would have to be a snake significantly bigger than me to be at risk of being constricted. Now there is still a rule with that. If you have a pet snake and they're, I would say any bigger than this, never wear them around your shoulders. Because even if they don't mean to, they can wrap around your neck and they can choke you. So don't do that. You see people do that all the time. It's not safe. They're not mean, but, they're just snakes. They don't know any better. So, snake facts.
It's on your shoulder.
He is. Look at him go. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said you can't put it around your neck.
I'm fine with him because I've held him before. But especially with a new snake, if I didn't know him, I wouldn't be letting him do this. Yes.
Do we have to do questions or can we
Huh?
story? Can we tell?
No,
or
just
We
question.
don't have time for stories. I'm
Just
sorry.
question.
All right, I think I'm going to move on to my next snake. Let's say goodbye to Jekyll.
Bye, Jekyll. Looks like a small snake. It's fresh.
We'll see.
Wait, that black one's big. That might be a big. It might be a big. Looks like a big cobra. I want it to be a cobra.
You want to pet a cobra?
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
No.
This
Oh my God.
is Arco. Arco is a rainbow boa constrictor. Now you might be thinking, gosh Carson, that snake looks brown, not rainbow colored. The reason they're called rainbow boas is that they have a really, really cool thing that you can't see. They have invisible bumps on all of their scales, and when the light hits them just right, they light up rainbow colored. Have you ever seen like an oil slick on the ground that looks like it's rainbow colored?
Yeah.
They look like that. Now, look at what he's doing. Where do you think Arco likes to live?
Under a tree.
Trees, yes. Arco is a tree climber. Arco would live in the rainforest. So what he would do to hunt is wrap around a tree just like this and look down at the ground below him, and when something runs by, he strikes. Now let's take a look at Arco compared to the last snakes that we've seen, if I can get him off my arm. Look at his head. Do you see how his head is kind of arrow-shaped? It's kind of wider in the back. Can anyone guess what that might mean about Arco? He has a kind of arrow-shaped head. He can move faster. He can. He's strong. Huh?
Does he jump from trees?
He cannot jump from trees, unfortunately. Yeah.
He plunges back.
He what? Plunges? You're on to it. You're on the right track.
It's like the venom.
Not venom, actually, but it does have to do with their bite. He has an arrow-shaped head because he has strong jaws. Remember, they pull their prey up into trees. So Arco has a very strong bite. Where is his head? Can't find it. This arrow shape is his jaws. Those jaw muscles are back here. So he has a pretty strong bite. Stronger than the corn snake or the rosy ball. Yes. Not really sure. It's kind of difficult to tell. Yes.
How old is
Arco, it's a little difficult to tell. So here's the thing about snakes. Snakes tend to grow to fit the size of their enclosures. So it's kind of difficult to say if Arco is just small and growing, or this is as big as Arco is going to get. I would guess, like the other snakes, Arco is probably at least 5 years old because he's pretty big, but he might get bigger. It's kind of difficult to tell. So I'm going to say he's at least 5. But it's really difficult to tell for sure. Also, look how pretty his underscales are. They're bright white. Arco actually just shed, so he's really, really bright colored right now. Yes.
Why does he do that thing with their tongue?
Why do they do that thing with their tongue? Good question. So the reason they do that thing with their tongue is that they have special taste and smell, kind of. They have special taste receptors on their tongue. It's like a combination of tasting and smelling. The reason their tongues are fork-shaped is because they're trying to pick up as much air as possible to kind of get an idea of what's around them. So snakes have eyes, right? They can see. But they actually have very bad eyesight. They can only really see what's right in front of them. Things that are far away are difficult for them to see. So like, Arco can probably see you guys, but Arco can't see you guys in the back. But his tongue will tell him what's around him, even if he can't see it. There are some snakes that can hunt in complete darkness. So they can hunt in pitch blackness. And we're going to learn why in just a minute, because the next snake has an even cooler feature than Arco does. Any other questions about Arco? Not Arco. No. Arco does not like cats. Yes. Oh, like how would it climb a tree and pick up animals? So the way they climb trees is actually pretty crazy. Big snakes will wrap around a tree and kind of corkscrew up it. Smaller snakes will climb straight up the tree and use bumps to hang on to as they move up. It's pretty crazy. Hi there. Yes. He is a boa constrictor, yes. I always kind of think that Arco is like, Arco looks the way you expect a snake to look. Like he's just the perfect looking snake. Yes.
How often do they shed?
They shed about once a month. Younger snakes shed more. So every time a snake sheds their skin, they grow a little, right? As they grow, they outgrow their skin, so they have to shed. Arco sheds about once every month or so, which again indicates that he's probably younger. Some of our snakes, like Rosie, has not shed for the last year because Rosie's fully grown. So it kind of depends on the snake. Any other questions? Yeah. They do have nostrils. They actually don't really breathe through their mouth. They only breathe through their nostrils. If a snake is breathing through its mouth, it's actually a sign that something is wrong with it. Oh. Huh? Yeah, in their holes, right here, maybe. In their what? Oh, there's air getting through the back.
Would a snake ever shed just because its skin is getting old?
Not really. they only have to shed if they get too big for their skin. Other than that, they don't really shed. Did you have? I thought I saw another hand over here. Any other questions? Yes.
How often do baby snakes shed?
They can shed like once every couple weeks at first, or like I would say once every month to once every 3 weeks. Some of them shed fast because they grow like a Burmese python, for instance. In the first year of their life, they can grow like 2 feet, so they get big fast. Yes. Are they colorful? Good question. I'm not sure. I actually don't know if they see in full color a lot. That's a great question. I would do some research and find that out. Any other questions? I'll take one more question about art. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get him in the sunlight, but he's not really reflecting the way that you can see it. But in certain light, he kind of looks rainbow colored. The name is a bit of an exaggeration. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to say goodbye to Arca.
This is a big one. This one moves a lot. Those are very big. This is
Everyone ready?
no. Oh, beautiful. I don't think we can pet this one either.
This is Medusa.
I figured Medusa.
Medusa is a ball python. Ball pythons are the smallest of the African breeds of python. There are 5. Ball pythons are the smallest. Now, Medusa is the biggest ball python I've ever seen. She's about 3.5 feet. They can get as long as 4 to 4.5. I'm pretty sure she's a girl because she's so big. Girl ball pythons get bigger than boy ball pythons. Some cool facts about ball pythons before I get started. First of all, take a look under her nose. You see that there are little holes under her nose? She's got little oh, there she goes. She's got little tiny holes under her nose, if you can see them.
It's like above her mouth.
Right above her mouth, yes. We cannot pet her.
Can I show you a picture?
In one second. She just finished it. She's still kind of working. So, those little holes are actually heat-sensing pits. What that means is she can see heat. So if it was totally dark in here and we couldn't see each other, she could see us. Because she can see heat. She can see warm-blooded animals even in complete darkness. So she is an amazing predator. Her eyes aren't very good, but with her tongue and her heat-sensing pits, she can hunt anything in complete darkness. She is nocturnal, which means in the wild she would only be awake at night. Yes?
Earlier you said you know snakes were colorblind. They are.
They are.
Snakes are in fact colorblind.
Cool fact.
She's
She actually just finished shedding. If you look, she's just finishing shedding, so this kind of stuff right here, that's her shed skin. Yes. Huh? She's a constrictor. She squeezes. Yes.
Do snakes are they like more aggressive when they're shedding?
Yes. So when a snake is shedding, they get white caps over their eyes because they even shed the skin over their eyes. Snakes don't have eyelids, so they can't blink. So they have special skin that grows over their eyes to keep their eyes from getting hurt. So when they're shedding, as the rest of them turns white, their eyes turn milky white too, and at that point they're blind, essentially. So they're not meaner, like naturally, but they're more protective because they can't see what you want. So if you try to poke a snake that has white over its eyes, it's more likely to lash out because it's going to think you're either food or a threat. Good question. Other questions about Medusa? Not Medusa, no. You'll be able to bet the next one. Yes. Another cool fact about ball pythons. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs, particularly Cleopatra, would wear ball pythons as jewelry. Their Latin name actually means royal python because they would wear small snakes as like necklaces or bracelets. Alive. Like this. Yeah. The reason is that they're docile. So as you can see, she's really not bothered by me holding her right now. So she makes a pretty good fashion statement. Yes.
What would be the thing that, like, what would be the thing she would blend into to make that color?
She lives in the rainforest, so she blends into the forest floor. She can climb, she's a good climber, but she actually would prefer to be on the ground among like the leaves and the fallen, like the branches, things like that. So imagine if we were even like outside by that tree over there, if she was sitting against it, she'd blend in pretty well, especially if you were a mouse. Yeah. She weighs about 5 pounds. Any other questions?
Does she actively attack her prey, or does she sit and wait?
Oh yeah, she will actively go after her prey. Now what they do is, I kind of compare it to what cats do. You know if you're playing with a cat and like you're waving a thing in front of them but they won't move and then finally you go to take it away and they jump at it? Snakes are like that. So when she's hunting a rat, if it's moving around, she'll just sit there until it moves in front of her and then she'll attack. Yeah, so they rarely miss. Any other questions? I'm losing my audience, so I have to get the last snake out. Yeah.
Is the other snake bigger than this?
Yes.
Yay! How old is
She's at least 10 years old. She's big, so she's older. But she's still shedding, which means she's still growing. Any other questions? One more snake. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Medusa.
Bye.
Snakes from 4 different environments. I have one more left to show you. Oh yes. Is the second largest species of snake on planet Earth.
It's in there.
Fully grown in the wild, they can be 23 feet long and weigh 200 pounds.
I know it's in there. It's scary. It's a big one. I want to get closer.
Okay, stand back, stand back.
Stay back.
Hey, stand back.
You're spoiling the finale.
Oh my God.
This
It's a great tree. Oh my God.
is Aphrodite.
Oh my God. Don't put her on your head.
Aphrodite. Aphrodite is about 6 feet long and weighs about 50 pounds. So she is a small Burmese python. If you look, physically, she's almost identical to Medusa. Her head looks basically the same. She also, hi there, has those little heat sensing pits right above her mouth. You see those holes above her mouth? So she can hunt in complete darkness. They're actually an invasive species in America. They live in the Florida Everglades. Fully grown, they have been observed eating alligators. They are apex predators. Almost nothing can hunt them. Yes. Any other questions?
You get the head. Aphrodite.
What? The Megalodon did have no predators. You're right. Yes.
How old is she?
She's about 7, but again, I don't know for sure because they were donated to us. So we only kind of know what we were told. Yeah.
Is she a female or male?
We think she's female, but we don't know. Yes. Huh? In order to really check if a snake is a girl or a boy, you have to be able to take them to a vet, because a vet can look inside of them and tell. It's difficult for us to say. We think she's a girl just because of her size and the way that she's shaped, but it's kind of difficult to tell for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any snakes that you have, have you mated any snakes?
No. We have not. It's actually very difficult to do that because they need very specific temperature and environmental requirements in order to feel safe enough to do it. So we have not tried that yet. Another interesting fact about Aphrodite, in particular, Aphrodite is partially blind. We don't know how it happened. It was probably when she was a baby before we even had her. But look at the other half, the upper half of her eyes. Do you see how they're kind of white? So at some point, probably when she was a baby, maybe even before she was born, she got an injury on her eyes. There she is. She's saying hi. So she's partially blind. That being said, she is excellent at getting around because she uses those heat-sensing pits in her tongue. She has no trouble. Any other questions about Aphrodite? Okay. Yeah. She was owned by another person before she was given to us. Originally, they're from Southern Asia. They are actually an invasive species in Florida. In Florida, they're changing the ecosystem because they eat everything. Yeah.
So when they swallow something, how far down in their body does it?
All the way.
All the way.
Their digestive tract is just a straight line. So they have teeth basically about back to here. Their stomach is kind of right here in the middle. So, yep, just like us basically.
But
Yeah.
is that color normal, or is she also?
No, she is also albino. In the wild, her coloring would be pretty similar to Medusa. It would be a lot like the pattern would be squarer, almost pixelated looking, but she would also be green and brown and black. Yes.
Did the Egyptians use them for any reason?
They did not live in Egypt. They lived in Asia.
Yes. They don't on the top of their body. They're like small scales on the bottom. Yeah, they have bigger scales.
The bigger scales on the bottom help them to scoot around.
Have you ever let anyone, like a visitor, hold?
No, we do not. It's not safe for the snakes, and also some people think they want to hold a snake, and then we give them a snake, and they don't want to hold a snake, and we don't want them to drop it. So we do not let people hold the snakes as a rule. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you have to be extra trained to hold her?
No, actually not really. I mean, there are rules, like you'll notice I'm kind of holding her in thirds to keep her from completely wrapping around me. But really, she's no more aggressive than any other snake, so once you know how to handle one snake, you pretty much know how to handle them in general. But that being said, she's easy for me to hold because I'm a grown-up and I weigh, 180 pounds, so she's small for me. For you guys, she'd be a lot heavier. Our biggest Burmese python, Artemis, weighs 100 pounds and is 11 feet. So she is twice as big as this one. I cannot hold her. Yes.
I think she's sniffing.
She is. Yeah.
You said your bigger snake. That sounds kind of like the one they showed us back in Florida back home.
Yeah.
They brought one into my school and had us all go into the gym and showed us. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, Artemis is about twice as big as she is, so you can imagine.
Out of all the snakes that you bring, so which one's your most favorite?
I like Medusa a lot, just because she's the first one I got used to, but I like all my snakes, honestly. I'm one of the main people that takes care of them. So, yeah.
Do you have any people who can hold Artemis, and if so, how?
I have held Artemis before twice. It's fun, she's just huge. Her head alone is about that big.
It's almost as big as your
So she's pretty huge. She's actually just as, like, she's no more aggressive than this one is. She's just big. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can your biggest snake swallow like a deer?
No, she can eat a full-grown rabbit. So she's still not big enough to eat like anything huge, but she can eat something about that big around by that big. Any other questions? Yeah, she can eat squirrels easily. This one could probably eat squirrels. Also, remember I talked about the underspot on their jaw where it parts? You can really see that on her, if I can get her to do the right thing. They don't really listen to me. If you look under her head, you'll see the lines. Do you see the line right under her jaw, kinda, maybe? That's where her jaw parts. Yeah, yeah. So when you watch her eat, her whole jaw just opens. It's crazy. Yeah. She's about 6 feet. Yes.
What snake has had the longest, and how long have you had them?
The snake we've had the longest is named Pepto. We've had her for about 15 years. We don't bring her because she's like 22 years old, so she's at the end of her lifespan, so she's retired. Yes.
Will the yellow like on the back get even brighter?
No, snakes do not change color. So they're one color their whole lives. When they shed, they get dull for a while until they shed, and then they're bright. Yeah. She's about 50 pounds. So like now she's starting to get a little bit heavy. Any other questions? Take one. Oh yeah. All right. If you would like to pet Aphrodite, I'm gonna have you guys line up this way. The rules are the same. 2 fingers down in the direction of her tail, okay? And then just walk back to your spots.
Very good.
Good job, very brave. Oop, nope, down this way.
Has to be here. 2 fingers. Very good. All right, head around this way. Very good.
This feels like my dragon. Feels very good. No, my dragon is like this. And I'm so
Yeah, me too.
I'm actually not a huge snake person.
She's beautiful.
Kind of a...
She's so pretty.
Bonus question. Does anyone know where the names Athena, Aphrodite, and Artemis come from?
Greek myth.
Yeah, Greek mythology. Aphrodite is the goddess of beauty, which is why we named her Aphrodite. Yeah.
Are all of your snakes named after Greek gods?
Not all of them, no. Like, well, Medusa is a Greek monster. Argo, I'm not sure about Argo. Maybe.
It's a ship in Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, so Argo is. Jekyll and Hyde are not.
English literature.
Yeah, but yeah, they're all. I think they're all named after books. Like we have Orson, who's named after Orson Welles, so an actor.
I have a whole bunch of that.
Oh yes, of course. All right, everybody say bye to Aphrodite.
I see why the Yuki was carrying that big container with 3 little backpacks. Hey,
Did you get to pet him once?
No, we didn't get to pet.
If they wanted, so good. How many chances do you get to pet him once? Good job. Very brave.
Hey, Jeremy,
Did you guys get to pet? Burmese python. She really is.
do you mind if I get a picture of her?
No.
It's been a while since
Yeah.
There we go. Last time I got one was back in Florida, and that was a while ago.
Star of the show.
She really is.
A diva.
She is. She loves attention.
I love to give her attention. It's beautiful.
I can see now what you have.
All right. That is the show, guys. I hope you had fun.
That was great.